Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God, back with you with the next video in my series reading The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Without further ado, returning to The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, as read by Lord Naren White. I didn't hurry. I couldn't if I'd have wanted to. I took one slow step at a time, and there weren't a sound. Only I thought I could hear my heart. The dogs were as still as the humans, but they followed a little behind me. When I got to the 3 log doorsteps, I heard them unlocking and unbarring and unbolting. I put my hand on the door and pushed it a little and a little more till somebody said, "There, that's enough. Put your head in." I done it, but I judged they would take it off. The candle was on the floor, and there they all was, looking at me, and me at them, for about a quarter of a minute. 3 big men with guns pointed at me, which made me wince. I tell you, the oldest gray and about 60, and the other two 30 or more, all of them fine and handsome, and the sweetest old gray-headed lady, the back of her 2 young women, which I couldn't see right well. The old gentleman says, "There, I reckon it's all right. Come in." As soon as I was in the old gentleman, he locked the door and barred and bolted it, and told the young men to come in with their guns. And they all went in a big parlor that had a new rag carpet on the floor, and got together in a corner that was out of the range of the front windows. There weren't none on the side. They held the candle and took a good look at me, and all said, "Why, he ain't a Shepherdson. No, there ain't any Shepherdson about him." Then the old man said he hoped I wouldn't mind being searched for arms, because he didn't mean no harm by it. It was only to make sure. So he didn't pry into my pockets, but only felt outside with his hands, and said it was all right. He told me to make myself easy and at home, and tell all about myself. But the old lady says, "Why, bless you, Saul, the poor thing's as wet as he can be, and don't you reckon it may be he's hungry?" "True for you, Rachel. I forgot." So the old lady says, "Betsy," this was a black woman, "you fly round and get him something to eat as quick as you can. Poor thing. And one of you girls go and wake up Buck and tell him. Oh, here he is himself. Buck, take this little stranger and get the wet clothes off from him, and dress him up in some of yours that's dry." Buck looked about as old as me, 13 or 14 along there, though he was a little bigger than me. He hadn't on anything but a shirt, and he was very frowsy-headed. He came in gaping and digging one fist into his eyes, and he was dragging a gun along with the other one. He says, "Ain't they no Shepherdsons around?" They said no, 'twas a false alarm. "Well," he says, "if they'd have been some, I reckon I'd have got one." They all laughed, and Bob says, Why, Buck, they might have scalped us all. You've been so slow in coming. Well, nobody come after me, and it ain't right. I'm always kept down. I don't get no show. Never mind, Buck, my boy, says the old man. You'll have show enough, all in good time. Don't you fret about that. Go, long with you now, and do as your mother told you. When we got upstairs to his room, he got me a coarse shirt and a roundabout and pants of his, and I put them down. While I was at it, he asked me what my name was. But before I could tell him, he started to tell me about a blue jay and a young rabbit he had catched in the woods day before yesterday. And he asked me where Moses was when the candle went out. I said I didn't know. I hadn't heard about it before. No way. Well, guess, he says. How am I going to guess, says I, when I never heard tell of it before? But you can guess, can't you? It's just as easy. Which candle? I says. Why, any candle, he says. I don't know where he was, says I. Where was he? Why, he was in the dark. That's where he was. Well, if you knowed where he was, what did you ask me for? Why, blame it. It's a riddle, don't you see? Say, how long are you going to stay here? You got to stay always. We can't just have booming times. They don't have no school now. Do you own a dog? I've got a dog. And he'll go in the river and bring out chips that you throw in. Do you like to comb up Sundays? And all that kind of foolishness? You bet I don't. But Ma, she makes me. Confound these old breeches. I reckon I'd better put 'em on. But I'd rather not. It's so warm. Are you all ready? All right. Come along, old house. Cold corn pone, cold corned beef, butter and buttermilk. That is what they had for me down there. And there ain't nothing better than that ever I come across yet. Buck and his ma and all of them smoked cob pipes, except the black woman, which was gone, and the two young women. They all smoked and talked, and I eat and talked. The young women had quilts around them, and their hair down their backs. They all asked me questions. And I told them how Pap and me and all the family was living on a little farm down at the bottom of Arkansas. And my sister Mary Ann run off and got married and never was heard of no more. And Bill went to hunt them, and he weren't heard of no more. And Tom and Mord died, and then there weren't nobody but just me and Pap left. And he was just trimmed down to nothing on account of his troubles. So when he died, I took what there was left, because the farm didn't belong to us, and started up the river, deck passage, and fell overboard. And that was how I come to be here. So they said I could have a home there as long as I wanted. Then it was most daylight and everybody went to bed. And I went to bed with Buck. And when I waked up in the morning, drat it all, I had forgot what my name was. So I laid there about an hour trying to think. And when Buck waked up, I said, "Can you spell it?" "Yes," he says. I bet you can't spell my name, says I. I bet you what you dare I can't, says he. We'll go ahead and stop there for this week. As usual, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Delight to be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.